following is a paid program. The opinions expressed are not necessarily those of WNBU and Interbanks Media. Welcome to All Things Money with David Blain, a thoughtful and revealing discussion of actionable ideas and effective strategies to help you through the complex world of investing, taxes, and real estate. Now, with All Things Money, here's David Blain.
Hello and welcome to All Things Money. I'm your host, David Blain. Thank you for joining us today on 94.1 FM WNBU, as well as cable TV 10 in New Bern. And we've got some people watching, I'm sure, on the internet. We have both the video and the audio posted on our website, www.dlblain.com. There you can find information about myself, my show, as well as archives of the show and all sorts of wonderful information. If you have a chance, head on over there, dlblain.com. There's just some wealth of information. You can also call us. 252-633-0107 is the number. If you have any comments or questions on the show, topics you'd like us to cover. And of course, you can email us directly at the show here at allthingsmoney@dlblain.com. Okay, I thought I would spend some time today talking about the tax code. A couple weeks ago, Clark Howard did a show. I don't know if you ever listened to Clark Howard. Clark Howard is kind of more of a consumer finance type person. His show is here on 94.1 as well. And he has some great information sort of from a consumer finance where we tend to be more, investing and economics and taxation and things like that. He's kind of more consumer. Anyway, he did a special show at the beginning of the year on solving the Social Security and Medicare problem, and it was kind of a divergence from what his normal show is about. So anyway, I got the idea that, hey, maybe it's okay if we diverge from the normal show every once in a while. And normally we're talking about personal finance issues like investing, taxes, things like that. And we're going to do that today, but I wanted to focus the shows today on taxes, mainly the IRS's Taxpayer Advocate Report. And I broached this topic last week on the Phil Knight Show here locally in New Bern, and got a lot of comments about it. People wanted some more information, and so I thought I would go into a lot more detail today. And a lot of it revolves around how to fix some of the tax problems and some of the issues that we have. And a lot of these may or may not apply to you as individuals, but I thought it would be worthwhile going through. So Nina Olson is what's called the Taxpayer Advocate, and the Taxpayer Advocate is a division of the IRS that advocates for the taxpayer. And what do we mean by that? If you have a problem that is not solved through the normal IRS problems, you can call the Taxpayer Advocate and have them assist you. And I've actually had to do this on behalf of a client. There was an elderly lady, a problem with an estate tax return, and the IRS was sending her all these levy notices and, basically telling her she was going to jail. I mean, this was like a 90-year-old lady, and she was just, panicking. And it had to do with the attorney that when the person died, the attorney applied for a Social Security tax ID for the estate, and the CPA firm, well, the attorney thought the CPA did it, the CPA thought they did it. Anyway, and I was hired after the initial part of the estate, and I was given an estate tax return. The only problem was the employer ID number or Social Security number, for the estate was wrong. And so for this estate was open for like 4 years. So for 4 years we filed the tax returns under the wrong tax ID number. And it took the IRS, about 4 years to catch it. Anyway, this problem was so intertwined, and the normal people in the IRS couldn't, or of no help. And anyway, so we contacted the Taxpayer Advocate, and within about 2 weeks, the problem was completely fixed. Anyway, so that's one thing that they do. They advocate on behalf of individual taxpayers that have problems. Second thing that they do is they advocate on behalf of taxpayers as a whole to Congress. And that's what I want to focus on today. Nina Olson is required annually to present a report to Congress outlining some of the issues with the IRS. And the government produces so much wasted research and wasted reports, and they're killing trees by the acre printing stuff. But this is one report. If you ever have a chance and you're looking for something to do, head on over to the IRS website and download the Taxpayer Advocates Report to Congress. Specifically, the first chapter. There's a bunch of chapters in it. They talk about legislative recommendations, most litigated issues, case advocacy, some other things. But the one thing I recommend you look at is what they call the most serious problems. This is the first chapter. And that's what I want to talk about, is every year they identify the most serious problems that the IRS could take a look at. And the number one problem, which I'll give you a minute there at home to think about it and guess what you think it is. According to the IRS themselves, the number one problem is the complexity of the tax code. It's the most serious problem out there. She devotes probably 25 pages to it, and that's what I want to focus on here is the complexity of the tax code, identified by the IRS themselves, the taxpayer advocate, as the most serious problem facing the IRS and taxpayers as a whole. And as I go through this, you'll see that because of the complexity of the tax code and because it is such a problem, it affects the revenue, it affects the confidence in the tax system. It has far-reaching effects when the reason for the IRS and the reason for having an income tax is simply to raise money for the Treasury to provide those necessary services that the government is supposed to. And the beauty of this report, and I'll try to keep it that way too, is that Nina must say throughout this several times that this is an independent report. She's not a Democrat. Well, I don't know. In fact, you can't tell what side of the coin she's on. If you read it, you might think that she is coming from a smaller government side of things, but she says several times that she's not advocating one way or the other of what level revenue should be or where the money that is collected is spent. She completely stays away from that and just states the facts. And this is what I want to get to, is so much of the political discourse today is both sides distorting the facts and not really dealing with the heart of the issue, which she outlines here. And so it's a great outline of what, if you get the politics, forget about the level of revenue, forget about where the money goes. She just says, get the IRS out of it, get it out of the tax code. It's really messing up our whole system. Okay, well, we're coming up to our first break. When we come back for the second segment, I'll get into some of the details on the complexity of the tax code. So for All Things Money, I'm your host, David Blain, and we'll be right back after a few short messages.